Bro Wild wants to know, is your Mustang stock? And if not, what mods have you done? Good question. Thank you for a $10 donation, Bro Wild. Let me see if I can help you with that. Maybe. No. No, apparently I can't. Albums. What about my albums? Is there an album? Yeah. Here we go. I found it. So, the stock. So my Mustang is a turbocharged inline 4. It is not the V8, which it always disappoints some people, but that's okay. And the weak point on the stock Mustang is the intercooler. Look at the difference in the intercooler. This is the stock intercooler. This is the one I put on. Well, I didn't put it on. This guy right here, his name's Brian. He did 90% of the work. And this guy right here, his friend, his name's Jason. They're both friends of mine. He did a little bit of the work, but mostly stood there and criticized Brian for doing it wrong, while Brian went under the car and did most of the actual work. That's pretty much sums up their relationship in a lot of ways. So the car has an upgraded intercooler, downpipe, charge pipes, and basically everything back to the exhaust. But I didn't want to do an aftermarket exhaust because I don't like this loud aftermarket exhaust, especially on a 4-cylinder. And it's got a tune on it. Jake says it's sacrilegious to have a 4-banger Mustang. I know people feel that way. It's a freaking amazing car. I'm sorry. Feel free to take the name Mustang off it and call it whatever else you want. It's a freaking amazing car. I really love it. I think it's got like a 4.8 or a 4.6 0 to 60. Can't remember. I mean, that 0.2 seconds is pretty significant. It's definitely a sub 5 second 0 to 60. Last I checked. So yeah, a turbo inline 4 is a really fun little engine. It's got enough horsepower to break the end loose for sure. So funny you say that. Fork Bomb says it could be a Dodge Neon. Actually, way back in the day, Jason drove a souped-up Neon that was, according to him, would smoke damn near anything on the road. So now he drives a Genesis G70, though. So, he's gotten older. Anyway, that's my car. Actually, I'm thinking about getting it retuned. It's got a off-the-shelf tune on it now, and I'm thinking about getting it actually tuned to see get a little more performance out of it. But it costs like $500, maybe $300 to get it tuned. So I'm not sure it's worth. I mean, here's the thing, Grum. I'm not going to argue about my car for very long. We're gonna move on. But Grom Drone says, I disagree. It's not an amazing car. Yeah, obviously, it's subjective. You can have your opinion. If I were to put you in the car and take you on like an autocross drive or a little mountain road and not tell you it was a Mustang, right? Like somehow I'm going to prevent you from knowing what car you're in and you're just going to drive it. You'd be like, oh, that's a pretty good car. And then you'd get out and you'd be like, wait, this is a Mustang? Ah, sacrilege, no! Right? The cognitive dissonance would just, you just shrivel up and die. The V8 Mustang is an amazing car, an iconic car, absolutely. This car is a very good car. It's just got Mustang badging, which people don't like. But I like it. I think it's a good-looking car. And it drives real nice. And if you've never driven in like an S550 EcoBoost, I think you may not understand what it can do. Anyway. But, whatever. It's not a V8. It'll never be a V8. I'm going to tell you, here's what a loser I am. And I say this, and I'm putting this out there on the internet, and all the people who already don't like me are going to clip this and use it as an example of why I'm a loser. So I want to preface it by saying I fully understand the context. I am comfortable with my own self, and I know my strengths and my weaknesses, and I am not ashamed of this. I've test drove the V8, and I sat in the V8, and I started it up, and I was like, oh, yeah, oh, shit. You know, that's the reason you buy the V8. And I took it on the test drive, and over the course of like an 8-minute test drive, I went from being like, oh, yeah, to being like, it's kind of loud. And I thought, if I were to do like a 3-hour or 6-hour road trip with this frickin' V8 in my frickin' ears the whole time, I'd be like, nah, forget it. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. If I were to take it to the track or something, sure. But if I was to just go on an 8-hour road trip, which I do several times a year, it would drive me crazy.